My name is Daniel, but growing up, you'd think I was invisible. My parents had two sons, me and my younger brother, Aaron. Aaron looked exactly like Dad. Sharp features, tall, confident, and frighteningly smart in school. He could memorize entire books, solve equations without a calculator, and charm teachers into giving him extra credit. And then there was me. I wasn't dumb, but I didn't care about grades the way Aaron did. What I loved was building things, taking apart radios, fixing bikes, making small gadgets from scratch. I could sit for hours with wires, screws, and wood, constructing something only I could imagine. But for my parents, that wasn't enough. They only seemed to care about Aaron. Even Grandma noticed. She once shook her head at me in the kitchen and whispered,
"Danny, don't let it eat you up. Some parents can't see all their children equally, but you have something they'll never understand. Hands that can create."
I tried to smile, but the truth stung. "Aaron, excellent job on your test. That's my boy, just like me." Meanwhile, I'd bring them a wooden toy car I built from scraps.
"That's nice, Danny, but look at Aaron's report card, straight A's again."
It was always like that. Aaron got the new sneakers. I got the hand-me-downs. Aaron got birthday parties. I got maybe next year. Once, Mom gave Aaron a laptop for topping his class, while I got socks. On Christmas mornings, Aaron's side of the tree looked like a mini shopping mall. Video games, designer clothes, gadgets. My side? Maybe one sweater, sometimes not even wrapped. On Easter, Mom and Dad would buy Aaron the biggest chocolate egg in the store, while I'd get a plain bar of cheap chocolate. Summer vacations? They'd take Aaron to science camps in the city, bragging about how he was destined for greatness, while I stayed home alone, fixing broken fans and radios from the junk pile. Even Grandma frowned once when she saw it.
Shameless. Loving one child like he's gold and treating the other like dust.
When Aaron won a school award, Mom baked a cake, invited the neighbors, and decorated the living room with balloons. When I built a working toy engine from scratch, Dad barely looked up from his newspaper. The truth was, Aaron could do no wrong in their eyes. And me? I was the shadow son. I loved my brother. I really did. He never mocked me or rubbed it in. But the favoritism was like a dagger twisting deeper every year. Then came the accident that changed everything. I was in the garage one afternoon, tinkering with a broken blender. I wanted to see if I could power a small motor. I stripped some wires, plugged them into the wall, and tried to connect them. My fingers slipped. There was a crackle, a blinding spark, and my body stiffened like I'd been welded to lightning itself. My scream died in my throat. Then, darkness. When I woke up, I was on the floor. My chest burned, but strangely, I wasn't in pain. My heart thudded like a motor. I stood, dizzy, and then, without meaning to, I moved. The world blurred, and suddenly I was at the far end of the garage. I gasped. "What the hell?" I tried again. In a flash, I was across the street. My skin buzzed like electricity lived inside me, and when I accidentally dropped a screwdriver, it jabbed into my palm. Yet I felt nothing. No pain, no blood. I had powers. At first, I was terrified, but then I realized this was my chance. If my parents wouldn't love me for who I was, maybe I could make them feel just a little of the hurt I'd carried for years. I didn't hate Aaron. Never him. But Mom and Dad? They were going to know what it felt like to be powerless. I started using my powers to humiliate Mom and Dad. One morning, Dad left with his briefcase, bragging about how he was going to impress the board. I waited until he was in the conference room, already revising his notes, then zipped across town faster than lightning. I snatched his documents straight off the desk, raced back home, and stuffed them under my bed. When the meeting started, he flipped open his briefcase and froze. "What? Where are my notes? I just had them here." "John, is this a joke? You told us you prepared for weeks." I swear I had them. I was reading them 5 minutes ago." "You've lost your mind, John. First your mistakes, now this? Do you even care about your job?" Dad sat there, red-faced, while the whole office stared. He looked like a fool. I chuckled to myself back at home, picturing the chaos. Mom wasn't spared either. She loved going to the market, always boasting about how carefully she shopped. One Saturday, She came home with bags full of groceries. She turned her back, and in a blur, I whisked away half of it: rice, vegetables, even the chicken. When she went to unload, her face twisted.
But I swear I bought onions. Where are the onions? And the chicken? Did I forget them at the market?
You're getting old, woman. Always forgetting things.
I didn't forget. I put them in the bag myself.
Meanwhile, I was in my room, laughing quietly while munching on stolen chicken wings. Not everything I did with my powers was about revenge, though. One night, walking down a quiet street, I saw a group of older boys cornering a man, pressing knives against him. "Wallet, now." The man stuttered, fumbling for cash. My legs tingled, and before I even thought, I zipped into action. I blurred past, snatched the knives, and tossed them into a dumpster a block away. The robbers stared in horror, their hands suddenly empty. What just happened?" Ghost, man." They bolted, tripping over themselves. The man looked around, confused, clutching his wallet. I was already gone, smiling to myself. Back at school, my powers came in handy too. One morning, Mom punished me with chores before class.
Danny, scrub those dishes and sweep the floor before you even think of leaving. Aaron's already gone, so you'd better hurry.
She went upstairs. By the time she came back down, barely 3 minutes later, I was standing at the door with my backpack, house spotless.
What? How did you...
I just shrugged and sped off to school, arriving before the bell. Mom never mentioned it again, but I could tell she was baffled. One afternoon, I was walking home from school alone when I noticed thick smoke curling into the sky. My stomach sank. It was coming from our street. My legs moved before my mind caught up, and as I turned the corner, my heart nearly stopped. Our house was an inferno. Flames clawed at the walls, windows burst outward with sharp cracks, and neighbors screamed, pointing, powerless. The air reeked of burning wood and melting plastic. No firefighters yet, just chaos. Without hesitation, I dashed inside. The heat roared, but it didn't hurt me. My skin tingled. My clothes should have caught fire, but the flames curled back as if afraid to touch me. In the living room, I saw Dad pinned under a beam, his face scorched, his hands reaching toward me. "Danny, help me, please." I froze. Memories slammed into me. Every time he praised Aaron, every time he looked right through me, every time I was treated like I didn't matter. He had never wanted me. He wanted Aaron, his golden boy. And in that moment, I made a choice. I turned away. Upstairs, through the smoke, I found Aaron collapsed on the floor, unconscious. My chest tightened. Him, I couldn't abandon. Scooping him into my arms, I sped out of the flames faster than a blink, laying him gently on the grass. His chest rose and fell faintly as he coughed and sputtered, then went still again, unconscious, but alive. By the time the firefighters arrived, the house was collapsing in on itself. They managed to drag Dad out, barely breathing, his body burned beyond recognition. Mom, she never came out. The neighborhood whispered for weeks. Dad in the hospital, his once proud face twisted beyond recognition. And then there was Dad, after the fire. Burned, scarred, a shell of the man he once was. Kids in the neighborhood mocked him openly. "Look, it's Two-Face from Batman."
"Hey, monster, did you forget your mask?"
Dad would limp away, shoulders hunched, while their laughter chased him down the street. For once in his life, he knew what it felt like to be on the outside. And me? I stood there, silent, almost pitying him. Almost. Aaron never knew what happened inside that fire. He thought I was just lucky to pull him out. He grew closer to me afterward, depending on me in ways he never had before. We became inseparable, brothers in truth, not just blood. And Dad? He never looked at me the same again. He is scared of me. His reign of favoritism was over, burned away with the house. Even Grandma came to live with us for a while. She looked at me one night and said softly,
Danny, you've changed. There's something in your eyes now, something strong. Maybe that accident, maybe it wasn't an accident.
I smiled faintly. She would never know. No one would. Because to this day, Nobody knows I have powers. Nobody knows that the fire didn't touch me, that I move like lightning, that I can't feel pain. And sometimes, late at night, I wonder, was it really the electricity that gave me these powers? Or was it something else? Something waiting for me all along? Maybe I'll never know. But one thing is certain. I don't need Mom and Dad's love anymore. I have Aaron. I have my gift. And I have the quiet satisfaction that they'll never understand. Guess I finally built something worth keeping. So yeah, that's my story. A boy nobody wanted, who became faster than the eye could see. My life may sound like a comic book, but trust me, it's real. And if you don't believe me, well, maybe I'll just run over to your place right now and prove it. Just kidding. Or am I? Anyway, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. Otherwise, I might just zap over and steal your dinner.